This video is a critique which is considered fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. I do not own any of these clips. This is purely fan-made for entertainment purposes only. Family Guy is owned by 20th Century Fox, Fuzzy Door Productions, Seth MacFarlane, and David Zuckerman. Enjoy! Number 5.
Damn it!
Peter harassment. Poking fun at sexual harassment, why not? If anyone is even capable of doing this right, it's clearly not going to be Family Guy, because they always seem to drop the ball on why subjects like this are so controversial. In this episode, Peter breaks his glasses and has to wear contacts, resulting in his boss Angela becoming smitten with him.
Yeah, this is gonna work out just fine.
After that, Peter basically becomes traumatized and tells Lois about it, to which she says that men can't be sexually harassed.
What? Peter, a woman can't sexually harass a man.
Why not?
I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, guys like being touched by women.
And not only that, she even does this when Angela calls Peter, and Peter is too traumatized to talk to her.
He's such a baby. I'm sorry, Angela. Peter can't talk. He's upstairs in the shower touching himself to your picture.
Okay, if Peter did end up sleeping with Angela, I don't even think it should be considered cheating. Lois is basically driving him to do it at this point. How the fuck can you do that to your spouse without any remorse? I'm not gonna act like Peter himself is innocent because he himself was sued for sexual harassment for telling an offensive joke in an earlier episode. But he's stupid and didn't go as far as Angela is going in this episode. When Peter finally quits his job to avoid the harassment, he finds Angela attempting to kill herself at her house. No. Don't go there, Family Guy. Don't even think about it.
Griffin, I haven't been with anyone in 10 years, and when you spurned my advances, it was a wake-up call. No one's ever gonna love me again.
You stupid, sick sons of bitches. You're basically saying that people who sexually harass others should be sympathized with. Peter is a married man basically getting guilted into sleeping with his boss because she's desperate. Literally, the only reason she gives is that she's desperate. If the roles were reversed, the man would not get any sympathy. Hell, Family Guy themselves basically stated that earlier.
I got sexually harassed at school. My chemistry teacher, Mr. Taylor, rubbed my shoulders for 35 minutes in class the one day I didn't wear a bra.
See, Peter, that's harassment. An older man, a weak younger woman. He could have taken advantage of her, forced her to do things to him.
Workplace harassment does happen more to women than to men, but that doesn't mean a man won't suffer the same pain and agony as a woman if it happens to him. Peter ends up finally going through with it, only to get this priceless remark.
Not really, Peter.
Yeah, you cheated on your wife. No, I didn't. I used Mort. Oh my god, I forgot about Mort.
No. If Peter slept with Angela, it would not be cheating. Lois basically gave him no choice but to sleep with her because, in her own words,
Peter, a woman can't sexually harass a man.
well, you know what? If a man can't be sexually harassed, then he can't be a cheater either. If his boss is saying, sleep with me or else you're fired, then according to Lois, that's not sexual harassment. That's nothing but a job order. Peter, you gotta listen to your boss, right? Oh god, let's just move on. Number 4.
Damn it!
Go Stewie Go. I know what you're thinking. How could an episode that has Stewie's name in it be bad? Well, in all honesty, I didn't want to put this on the list because the main story, which involves Stewie, is actually pretty good. Stewie wants to be an American version of his favorite television show, but in order to do so, he cross-dresses in a Mrs. Doubtfire kind of way. And it's really well done. It's funny, the pacing is fine, and there are a few good nods to the source material.
Hello, everyone.
What puts it on the list, though, is the side story with Lois. Yeah, you know how I just got done talking about cheating? We'll get a load of what happens here. This is cheating. Now, Lois is easily one of my all-time least favorite characters in any show ever. Even in the earlier stages, I never really cared much for her, but she was at least tolerable and mostly easy to relate to. But she, like Brian, ended up getting some kind of character makeover, and has put in full view the kind of cunt she really is. When Meg gets a normal boyfriend, much to the shock of the whole town, Lois ends up feeling an attraction to him, and flat out plots to jump his bones. She sends Meg out on an errand and instantly comes on to him in one of the most cocky ways I've ever seen.
Let's not play games. The other day you said I was attractive. Now what are we gonna do about it?
Oh, I'm hot. We all know you want to bone me. Meg, of course, walks in on the two of them and is understandably crushed by it. I've always hated this kind of gag, when the mother wants to sleep with the daughter's crush or boyfriend. It's not a common one, but I have no idea how you can do it right, so I don't see a need for it. Lois tries to apologize, which Meg understandably doesn't accept, and even the apology is absolutely cocky.
It was an awful thing that I did. I never meant to steal him from you.
Is that what you think? You stole him from me? Are you kidding? You couldn't steal him from me.
Well, I do know a few things, Meg.
Oh my god, just fuck Lois. Fuck her. If they do another special where they kill off a character, it better damn well be Lois. Well, Meg rightfully tells Lois to fuck off, and then Lois has the balls to blame Peter for Meg hating her because of how he treats her.
I hope you're happy, Peter. Our daughter hates me, and it's all because of you.
Me? What the hell did I do?
Well, Peter, apparently you put a gun to her head and forced her to make out with her daughter's boyfriend. I don't know. How can you blame him?
You've made me feel so unattractive lately that I went and did something disgusting and abhorrent, and I'm ashamed of myself. Peter, I made out with Meg's boyfriend.
You made out with Meg's boyfriend? How the hell could you do that to me?
Because, Peter, you've been making me feel old and fat and unattractive and worthless. How do you expect me to respond?
That is probably the worst thing I've ever seen in any show, period. First of all, I do admit that not everyone who cheats are assholes or sluts. But it's very rare that someone who cheats doesn't have a poor reason for it. If your spouse, no, not even your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father, best friend, cousin, dog, if anyone you care about is saying things to you that hurt your feelings, it's your job to tell them how it makes you feel. It's called communication. If you feel like your relationship is not working, you either talk to your significant other to try and work things out, or you end it. I know that's hard, but cheating only adds fuel to the fire, and it only makes you look like you're the one at fault. Lois's reasons, however, are so poor that I'm actually convinced she's just a pedophile and a whore. In this episode, you only see Peter insult her a handful of times, and Lois does nothing to stop it or hint to him that it's affecting her. So the fact that she blames Peter and he basically takes the blame for it is simply disgusting and idiotic. It's one of the many things that shows me that the writers of Family Guy have no idea how to make personal matters funny or even how personal matters work. This episode single-handedly made me stop watching Family Guy for a long time. It wasn't until it came on Netflix that I started watching it again, and I already regret that, because 2 of the next 3 episodes on this list I never would have even known about if I didn't start watching Family Guy again. Number 3.
Out! Damn it!
Herpes the Love Sore. Why did you bring Brian back? Why? Nothing about him has changed, and it's clear he's only become worse since he's been brought back. In this episode, Stewie wants to become blood brothers with Brian, and Brian happily obliges, but does it without telling Stewie one kind of important detail. Brian has herpes! Not only that though, Brian gave herpes to Chris as well in the same manner. Now, that's absolutely horrid. It's one thing to not know you had herpes to begin with, but to not only know you have them, but willingly give them to someone else is just sadistic, and it shows what a monster Brian really is. Instead of apologizing right away like he should have, he actually tries to downplay it.
Look, relax. It's not that big a deal. Not that big a deal? It's a disgusting, unsightly, unsavory disease, and it lasts for life! Yeah, but, isn't the worst thing about herpes just the stigma? I mean, like what if it wasn't called herpes? Like what if it was called Boppo? Huh? Oh, I got a little Boppo. Oh, that's cute. Ah, I want Boppo.
Brian, burn in hell, you sick bastard. The secondary story of this episode is actually almost as bad as the herpes storyline. Peter and his buddies are ruthlessly bullied by 3 guys at the Clam, their favorite bar. And after refusing to fight them, they become ruthlessly bullied by their fucking family.
I don't want it.
Well, you're gonna. Everybody heard about what happened over at the Clam and how those guys made you their bitch.
Anything. I heard what happened to you with the drunken clam. I'm not doing what you tell me to do.
Meg, can you please pass the milk?
Shut up, Dad.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What the fuck is this? Who thought this was a good idea? And when the guys do try to stand up for themselves, they end up getting scolded and treated like shit anyway, only because the guys who everyone was basically pushing them to fight ended up being soldiers. So everyone celebrates these 3 bullies, and Peter, Quagmire, and Joe end up being labeled the bad guys anyway.
Everyone, I declare this to be These 3 Guys' Day, and not These 3 Guys' Day.
Just how much more of a mess can this episode be? Brian is a complete monster, the townspeople are hypocritical douches, Peter, Quagmire, Joe, and Stewie all go through hell through no fault of their own. There's just nothing salvageable about this episode, and there's still 2 episodes left on this list. Oh God, someone shoot me! Number 2.
Out! Damn it!
Brian's a bad father. This is the 3rd episode. 3rd episode! After Brian is brought back, and it instantly reminded everyone why they killed him off to begin with. Here's the description of this episode. Brian exploits his estranged son's fame as a television star to further his own career. I mean, you want to see a prime example of what makes this mutt such an unlikable character? Watch this episode. Here's literally the first scene you see with Brian.
Oh, crap. It's Dylan.
Dylan? Your son? Haven't heard you mention him in ages.
Yeah, I decided to step away from the whole situation.
Okay, what was it that Brian said in Fresh Air?
It might help Chris to be able to spend some time with his father.
Well, what's in it for old Pete?
He's your son. Don't you want someone to bond with?
Oh, so you have the balls to scold Peter when you do the same thing to your own son. You fucking hypocrite. Not to mention, Brian gives no reasoning to why he's ignoring his kid or why he doesn't want to be a part of his kid's life other than this.
The last thing he needs is a father who's, sometimes there, sometimes not.
Really? When was the part when you were there?
Hey, if I click ignore, will he know that I'm sending him to voicemail?
Hey, see that? Stewie asks a good question and Brian totally dodges it. And I love his tone while he's talking about it. Almost like he's decided not to go to the gym anymore, rather than decide not to be a father anymore.
Yeah, I decided to step away from the whole situation.
And you know what? It gets worse. When Dylan tells Brian he's coming to Quahog, Brian tries every excuse he can think of to avoid seeing him.
While, but I'm calling because I'm on my way to Quahog.
Oh, really? Well, when are you getting here?
Tuesday.
Oh, don't say Tuesday. Oh, I'm out at the project all day.
I don't know if it's just me, but can anyone explain to me why this is funny or charming? Stewie, who's ironically gone from being the only evil character in Family Guy to the only character with an actual conscience, ends up making Brian say yes to the meeting with his son. Brian, of course, flakes on it, doesn't tell Dylan he's flaking, and tries to make up an unconvincing excuse to Stewie about it.
Yeah, you know, Stewie, I've been thinking about it, and I haven't seen him in years, and at this point, I just don't see what could possibly be gained from me getting together with him.
What could be gained, Brian? You can make your son happy, you stupid lemming. You know what was it he said in Fresh Air again?
He's your son. Don't you want someone to bond with?
You could have that, Brian. You could have a bond with your son. And I know the episode is called Brian's a Bad Father. Well, there's the issue right there. Brian is such an unlikable character that even warning the viewer that you're not going to like him throughout this entire episode just makes it not even worth watching.
I just don't see what could possibly be gained from me getting together with him.
Well, Brian very quickly changes his mind when he finds out that Dylan has become a television star. During the entire lunch, Brian tries very tastelessly to push Dylan to get him a job as a writer.
And you know what's weird? You're on a show, I'm a writer. It's almost like the universe is trying to, I don't know, make us work together or something. I don't know.
You want a job on my show?
Hey, don't put the universe's words in my mouth, okay?
Oh, if I chuckle and poorly act like I'm suggesting it, it becomes funny and I don't look like a dipshit. Dylan is of course reluctant, but Brian uses Dylan's longing to spend time with him to get him to agree. And Brian does what he does best. Fucks up the show, gets fired, and Dylan figures out what he was doing the whole time.
You know what, Dad? I'm starting to think that you've just been using me to advance your career. God, you're a terrible father. I never want to see you again.
About damn time.
Oh, my God, he's right. I am a terrible father.
Yes, you are. But that's not even all that's wrong with this episode. No. The side story to this episode is just as bad. Peter willingly shoots Quagmire in the arm during a hunting trip, and throughout the majority of the episode shows no remorse for it and starts showing how little he really cares about his friend. Quagmire rightfully ends the friendship, and Joe chooses to stay friends with Quagmire over Peter. Gee, I can't imagine why, but that's not all. Despite all this stuff Peter did, the episode tries to make you sympathize with him. But in all honesty, it's satisfying to see Peter depressed because he's such an unlikable asshole. Oh, but then there's this scene.
Hey, Lois, if I was going to kill myself, do I slit my wrists this way or this way?
Sideways for attention, long way for results.
Meg is right.
Okay, I'll be in the garage.
Peter, put that knife down.
Lois, I don't have any friends, so I'm going to kill myself and get a full page in the yearbook.
Okay, let me just say first off, Peter brought all of this on himself, so he has no one to blame but himself. He makes it clear he wants to kill himself to get back at Quagmire and Joe for doing what they should have done to Peter long ago. Secondly, I know they're not the first show to make fun of suicide, but the way they do it here is so distasteful.
Lois, I don't have any friends, so I'm going to kill myself and get a full page in the yearbook.
Suicide is the best way to get attention. This is probably the worst joke in the history of Family Guy, and that's saying a lot. You know what? The only reason this isn't number one is because I fully believe McFarlane made this episode solely to troll his viewers because he knows this show can't be killed. Hell, even this scene after Brian leaves to go mooch off his son, this happens.
Oh, that dog of mine. That's Mike Drunkbeater. Look it up on the internet.
Family Guy, we've been on for years.
We've been on for years. Conclusion. This episode is a giant troll. Congrats, McFarland. You got us all. Before I get to number one, I just want to name a few honorable mentions. Road to Vegas. This gets an honorable mention just because of this scene.
No, kill him. He's a baby. He won't even remember he was alive.
You son of a bitch.
Ah, Stewie!
God damn it, Brian. What won't you do to make people hate you? The rest of the episode, though, isn't too bad, so I can't put it on the list. Christmas Guy. This episode brought back Brian. Next, Quagmire's dad. I really wanted to put this on the list because this episode does practically nothing but insult transgender people. The only reason it's not on the list is because I don't know enough about the transgender community to accurately defend them. But I do intend on making a solo review on this episode one day. Consider this number 11. Number 1.
Out! Damn it!
Seahorse Seashell Party. This episode is straight up infamous for one very important reason. What is this reason that makes this episode infamous? Well, I'll explain soon. The episode starts out during a hurricane. Everyone is advised to stay inside for 36 hours, and then the TV goes out. So everyone needs to find something else to do. Brian sneaks away from the family to eat a bag of shrooms, giving him some of the weirdest images you can imagine, and results in him cutting off his own ear. Why'd he cut off his ear, you ask?
I'm gonna cut my ear off to prevent World War II.
Ah! Don't do drugs, kids. While this is going on, the Griffins start finding activities to do with each other, but when Meg tries to join in, they do this.
Me too! Bang!
Oh, no one wants to get finger banged by you, Meg.
Why don't you just go do that to yourself?
You know, do people really find stuff like this funny only because it's so incredibly over the top that you don't believe that people like this can actually exist? Because personally, I can't think of any other reason something like this is supposed to be funny. After that, Peter suggests a sing-along and hums to The Last Crusade, annoying the family, who snap at Meg when she opens a can of soda. And it's at this moment where the most famous scene in the episode happens. Meg actually stands up for herself. Meg was always the town's punching bag. Everyone in town treated her like complete shit. But her family always treated her worse than anyone else. Her mother tried to sleep with her boyfriend and even encouraged her to commit suicide at one point. Her dad treated her like she was just a joke, and her brother never tried to help her get back on her feet and instead contributed in putting her down even more.
Chris, you treat me like you hate me, and I don't know why. You say hurtful things to me constantly. Do you have any idea what that feels like? What if I said those things to you? What if I started calling you a fat, zitty loser who has no friends and smells like an old woman who has birds for pets? Is it too much to ask to be treated with a little decency from my brother? Maybe show me some kind of kindness by not jumping on the Let's Get Meg family bandwagon?
See, those are all fair arguments she's making. Chris always treated her like crap. Only one instance I can remember him standing up for her is when they worked together in the episode Moving Out, and she loses her job because of Chris. And the only reason he did anything about it to begin with is because Lois, of all people, told him he needed to be there for his sister and stand up for her. So Chris has never willingly in his life treated Meg with any true form of courteousness up to this point. So it's really refreshing to see her tell him off for it. Lois tries to intervene and accuses Meg of only trying to blame others for her problems. So Meg does this.
Oh, I see. Is this coming from my role model mother? The shoplifter, the drug addict, the porn star, the whore who let Gene Simmons and Bill Clinton go to town on her? You're my mother, and you took a child's trust and smashed it into bits in a 17-year-long mission to destroy something that you killed a long time ago.
That's easily one of my favorite scenes ever, making a bitch like Lois cry by stating all of these true things about her. After Peter, the oaf that he is, tries to leave, Meg turns her aggression onto him. He demands Lois back him up, but when Lois refuses, the whole family starts bickering at each other, causing Peter to run upstairs and cry like a little girl. Meg, finally saying everything she has ever wanted to say, talks to Brian about it, and... oh God, just watch.
Do you think it's possible that this family can't survive without some sort of lightning rod to absorb all the dysfunction? Maybe if I feel bad, they don't have to.
Wow. You know, that's incredibly noble and mature, Meg. You know, I think you might be the strongest person in this house.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Make yourself a punching Meg, and yeah. Fuck you! Yeah, go for a perfect game on this one. Show what an ignorant asshole Brian is, actually calling Meg strong for backing out of making her own life easier so she can help out her chaotic family, and make the family act extra unlikable throughout the entire episode. As if you can't already tell, Meg apologizes, basically saying she was wrong, and this right here is the exact reason why this episode is so infamous. Take your pick. Why do you hate this episode? It's boring. It's nothing but annoying filler and weird imagery. It's cruel. I mean, that's been established. Or, in my case, it actually managed to redeem itself, something I've never seen an episode of Family Guy do, only to tear it away with one solitary moment. I actually came so close to saying, finally, Family Guy is getting rid of one of its most annoying cliches. It's finally gonna stop with this BS, everyone hates Meg for no reason, gag. Only to say, never mind. Let's not only keep this going, let's give reason for it to keep going. I swear to God, this right here is why Stewie is the only character I like anymore. He didn't have any stupid moments that made him look like an ignorant
Hi, I'm Stewie Griffin. Tonight's Family Guy was a very special episode about drug use. To learn more about drugs, visit your local library. There's probably a guy behind there who sells drugs.
Oh, come on!